I have more than one thing I want to accomplish during this very brief video. Obviously, as you can see from the title there, I want to explain some cancer screening pitfalls. But the other thing that I want to do is to show you how you can make drawings using very simple shapes. And the reason that that's important is that I want my learners to be able to draw along with me while I explain these cancer screening pitfalls. If they can do these drawings, if the students can do the drawings as I'm going along, that will help them learn this material and remember this material better. And obviously, the simpler the drawings, the better that they'll be able to keep up and do the drawings themselves and then learn this material. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to draw, obviously, is a barnacle. I'm going to end up drawing a turtle later, then a rabbit, and then a bird. Again, these are going to be very, very simple drawings. So let's start with the barnacle. And as you can see, I drew this as simply as I possibly could. Now, what kind of cancer or what type of cancer behavior am I trying to illustrate with a barnacle? Well, what I'm trying to illustrate there is something known as pseudo disease. So remember that there are some cancers, including lung cancers, but prostate cancer and thyroid cancer are notorious for having pseudo disease. This is something that looks under the microscope like a cancer, looks on an imaging study like a cancer, but doesn't act like a cancer. In other words, it won't cause the patient any morbidity and mortality. It just basically sits there like a barnacle. Okay, let's move on to the next type of cancer, and this one I've illustrated with a turtle. Again, this is a very, very simple illustration. All these things are basically just circles or ovals, and you can see that some of the ovals are sort of squashed more than others, but the basic shape here is that of an oval. What am I trying to illustrate here with a turtle? What I'm trying to illustrate here with a turtle, some cancers, or including lung cancers, including prostate cancers, including thyroid cancers, and other types of cancers as well, grow very, very slowly. And those are subject to something called length time bias. In other words, if you screen people for cancers and you have lots of cancers that grow very slowly, those are the types of cancers that a screening study will preferentially pick up. That's because you have lots and lots of opportunities to go back and find those very slow growing cancers. For example, if a cancer grows very slowly over the course of 10 years, and if you screen somebody yearly, you'll have 10 different opportunities to pick up that type of cancer. So turtles are subject or end up giving you something called length time bias. Let's move on to the next type of cancer. That's a rabbit. And the rabbit, basically the underlying thing that I'm using here to illustrate a rabbit, obviously, is a circle. So we start off with the body, then a tail, hind legs, front legs, face right here. Obviously, the big floppy ears there are supposed to illustrate that this is a rabbit. Now, what's the importance of a rabbit in terms of cancer screening? Well, a rabbit is our screening target. This is the type of cancer that can get you into trouble. So a rabbit is catchable, and if you catch that rabbit relatively early before the rabbit becomes metastatic, then you've really had the opportunity to do some good. So this is the screening target, or the thing that we're really looking for with screening. All right, the last thing, or the last type of behavior of cancer I've illustrated with a bird. And by the way, these concepts are not original to me. This has been published or has been talked about elsewhere. I think my only innovation here is the barnacle and the fact that I'm trying to draw these as simple as possible. So the bird, just like the rabbit, basically relies on a bunch of circles, except I've got a triangle here for the beak. What is the significance of the bird in terms of cancer behavior? Well, a bird is very aggressive, and it's already metastatic or incurable by the time that you're able to pick it up on a screening examination. So this is the type of cancer that if you have a lot of birds, very aggressive tumors, then screening is not going to be very helpful. So let's look at a big overview right here. The effectiveness of your screening study is going to depend on the proportion of each of these different animals: barnacles, turtles, rabbits, and birds. If your screening population has a lot of barnacles in it, then your screening isn't going to do that much good because you're going to pick up a lot of pseudo disease. In fact, you may end up doing harm because the treatment for pseudo disease is the same as the treatment for disease. So in the case of lung cancer, maybe you would end up doing a lot of pneumonectomies. Hopefully you've got a lot of rabbits. These are catchable diseases where you can actually do some good for patients. And hopefully you don't have a lot of birds. If most of your tumors act like birds, in other words, they're very aggressive, they may already be metastatic by the time that you discover them using screening. And in that case, your screening isn't going to do very much good. I hope this explanation, both in terms of the screening pitfalls and in terms of the drawings, was helpful.